Hello again, everybody. Thanks for tuning back in to the Fishing Channel's Regional Fishing Report. We're going to be going to Darien, Georgia, but before we do, just a couple announcements. The Crazy Horse Fishing Hour is in full swing right now. That's typically on Tuesdays. Here and there, it may be on a different day, so make sure you check our Facebook page so you know which day to tune in. So a couple of people we have coming up. Kevin Conrad, a representative from Humminbird. You don't want to miss that one. Scott Lennox is going to be with us, and Briar Landon with Landon Marine to give you some really awesome tips on how to keep your boat running during these crazy unseasonable weather times. It's crazy. So definitely tune into that. But without further ado, we're going to bring in Captain Massa on the Inshore Georgia Fishing Report. Oh, there you go. I thought we lost you. I got scared for a second. How are you doing, Captain Massa?
Another great day in McIntosh. I'm loving it.
I need to move to McIntosh. So let's talk. We're going to do our 2-minute bite, but let's talk. What do you have going on here? I was watching your Facebook page. Shrimp, jig heads, redfish, presentation, technique. Give us the full Monty. So we're going to go into our 2-minute bite.
All right. Well, coastal Georgia is on fire. I've been able to say almost every show that the redfish and trout are in. I've caught more overslot redfish this year than probably combined in the last 5 or 6 years. So it's been off the charts, one after another. And I'm really excited that I've been able to start tagging some redfish. I'm in collaboration with the Georgia Natural Resources, and they've given me tags, and I just can't wait to have somebody tag a fish, and then I get that phone call or be able to report to see where they are. I've been lucky enough to catch a few tagged redfish, and to see that they travel 20, 30 miles and how fast they grow is exciting. So for me, tagging big redfish has been a joy. And then, of course, the trout. Trout are here. The last show I did, I said that we weren't catching as many in bulk, but that's turned on. It seems like they're in the deeper holes. They're moving out of the back rivers and starting to still be in the deeper holes, but in some bigger water next to like a sandbar. So if there's a drop that goes down 20, even 30 foot, and then a sandbar that comes up really high, they're there. So I've really had some good trout bites and redfish again. Still picking up a few flounder here and there, not like summertime, but they're in. And then waiting for the drum to come in. The next few months is going to be when big drum are going to be caught. I think that you'll see they'll start popping up all over social media. They're already starting at other places, but for our area, I'm looking forward to catching that 30, 40, 50-pound drum that's out there and available. So that's what I'm going to be targeting starting this weekend, and going for big redfish, drum, and trout. So coastal Georgia is on fire, like I said.
So before we get deeper into the fishing report, Captain Massa has a special prize for us tonight. What is that prize?
So for the question of the night, I'd like to highlight a company that I use, and it's called Crooked Eye. They make custom corks. So this is a hand-turned balsa wood cork. Man, it is durable. Comes fully rigged, and they put your logo on it. So if you have your boat name, your logo, anything you want on there. I've seen some great Georgia football, Florida football, just something to add a little spice to your tackle. And not only that, they are great corks. If you fish corks like these, after a while, you know that they bust out the bottoms of them. These last for a long time, man. They are solid. and they're great corks. So I've got 2 of them that I'm going to throw into the pot for the question of the night. I'll send them to the fishing channel and they can send them out. And I hope you'll give Crooked Eye a look. They're worth it. It's something fun and a little novelty item that actually is going to help you put fish in the boat, because popping corks work, and these are awesome.
What's the best way for our audience to learn more about that company? Is it through your channel? Is it through their channel?
Yeah, I think the best way was just like I found them. I was just surfing through Facebook, came across Crooked Eye Customs, and there they were. They're so easy to order from. The gentleman that makes them is a super nice guy. I'll tell you what, you got to get your order in because they're backed up. People are buying them like crazy. But it's worth the wait, and again, you just have something I think is cool as all get out.
Right on. So we're gonna add to the prize pack. Our sponsor, Old School Tackle, who we had on our show last week, has given us a gracious amount of tackle, plastics, and all kinds of things. So tonight we have the Predator Series 3.5 fatty paddle tail. I don't know if you can see that there. Do you think that we can catch some really great fish in your area of Georgia with this?
Oh, absolutely. Soft plastics are good. They work. So I got one that's similar. That's the Z-Man New Penny. So it's kind of in that same color range. It's a go-to. So I'm sure that one would be a bruiser over here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Captain Massa, for your generosity. So make sure you get your question in because you can win this prize pack tonight. So let's get deeper into the fishing report. Until we get some questions in, I'm going to let you lead, but I do want to touch on presentation, because you mentioned that a lot in your videos. I really appreciate your videos. They're so educational. Technique. And you mentioned the importance of positioning shrimp on a hook too. Can you include that in whatever you want to share with us tonight, please?
Absolutely. What I really want to talk about is that presentation. And I always am a jig head person. I really like to use a jig head, trout eyes, redfish eyes. And my buddy kind of teases me, oh, you're a bottom fisherman. And I get a little bit, taunted by that because I don't consider myself a bottom fisherman. What I consider that is you're going to soak a piece of bait and you're waiting, and there's nothing wrong with that. You catch a lot of fish, and I've done that. When it's time to catch a big giant bull red or out there in the open, that's what you do, and I think that it's very productive. But I like to bottom fish in a different way, and that's with a very slow retrieve. Yeah. That's throwing that jig head with a shrimp right on it, live shrimp. I take the tail off and I'm tailing him, hooking him through the bottom and out the back of the shell so that he is going along the bottom with his head down and he's coming up. So he's looking like he's a shrimp on the move. But the presentation in winter is very slow. It is a cast and you're waiting, and that's when you beat up a bit. You're soaking bait, but you're not. You're waiting and you're bouncing. So you're trying to move that shrimp across the bottom, but you're only moving in maybe 3 and 4 foot, even less, 2 foot jumps. You're just making them bounce off and get that movement, attract them over there, and that tail being cut off, put some scent out, and you're covering ground. It's not about a sit and wait game. It's more of about covering ground slowly and systematically. And so then you get off the bank. We know where those redfish are. They're usually within 20 or 30 feet around us of that bank. And then there's a lot of distance between the boat and you. And I used to just, take that line up and cast again. But I missed a lot of opportunities. At that point, you're a slow retrieve, but you're not letting it hit the bottom. You're going down to that second third of the water column. So you're not all the way at the bottom, but you're not at the top. You're right in that middle zone, and you're up and down as slow as you can without letting it hit the bottom. And I find that, man, I'll either catch a redfish or on that retrieve back, I'm catching a trout. So it's the best of both worlds. You never know what you're going to get. Of course, those trout can be right up on the bank too. That happens a lot, but it seems like I can almost guarantee in some spots, here's where I'm going to catch the redfish. And if I didn't catch a redfish, now I'm on go for a trout. The second thing I want to talk about is how the bite is. In the summertime, you get bit by a trout and it is slammed and you know it. But man, the bite is so subtle during the winter here, and it has been for me, that you've got to be on your A game or you're going to miss a lot of fish. You're going to feel like, oh, did I hit some weeds or did I hit the bottom? And you've missed that quick. And even the redfish, they're picking it up, holding it, and they're not taking that big giant pick up and slam and run. I felt something. The line's moving a little bit, and if you're not quick enough, too late. They've already spit it. They feel, hey, this doesn't feel right. There's something hard on the end of it, whatever it is, and it's a game changer. So having the right rod, having the right feel, that you can feel that bite and set that hook. I tell all my clients and I tell all my friends that a hook set is free. There's no embarrassment when you set the hook and it wasn't a fish or it was the bottom. That's no big deal, because 9 out of 10 times you missed a fish that you didn't set the hook on. So I'd rather do 5 hook sets that are misses and catch that one fish of a lifetime, because I set it right on that first feel. So those are the 2 things I'm focusing on: is speed of my retrieve and feeling that bait and having that touch to it, that I know when something's nibbling on it, I'm going to give it the go.
For sure. It almost sounds like bass fishing. I remember when Grant and I went bass fishing in his hometown there of Georgia. Everything you described remind me of that time, because it is very slow and you can miss it if you're not paying attention, and if you don't have the right rod, if you don't have the right setup, you can surely miss it. But there is no shame in setting a hook and missing it. I always say no shame, no gain.
That's right.
So we do have a question coming in. Is that a question? Oh, yeah, that's a question. Okay. Rich Forta, how you doing, Rich? Do you rig a popping cork with a live shrimp or artificial shrimp and let it float and move in so it has action, and how often?
All right, I do use a artificial shrimp when I'm with a popping cork. I like this color. It has a glow in the dark tail. I'm not sure if that's really working or not, but I like it. So I use it. It definitely works for me. And I'm pop and I'm moving it, and adding, of course, some scent to it. I lather it down pretty regularly with some kind of, there's a bunch of scents out there, but a shrimp scent. I also do use a lot of live bait. I'm a live bait fisherman when I'm out on charters, when I really want to catch fish, and then when I'm on my own and I'm trying to find fish or trying to just get a lot of cast in, I'll put that artificial on, because it just stays on, and you can cast it as far as you want. You can roughhouse it and still have it. Now, when I'm floating a cork that is an adjustable cork and I'm down 20, 15, 20 feet, or even 13 or 12, I'm going to rig my shrimp a little different. I'm going to go back through the head, right between the 2 dark spots and under that horn, and I'm going to let him be down there. Now, I'm still working it, but he's more of a floater and an action, because that's when I'm using the current. You can't always jig head fish. You can't always be on the bottom, especially when the current's ripping, because what happens is that jig head will get moving and it will get caught up no matter what. It's not coming across like this. It's moving down with the current, and it's getting caught too much. So then you have to change your game plan, and you can cover a lot of area with a cork. And so for adjustables, I'm hooking them through the back of the head. But for just a straight popper, like this or like this, I'll have 2 or 3 foot of leader, all depending on what the depth of the water is, and I'm going to rig him through the tail, and I'm really giving him some action. He'll settle down there, and then it's more pop, 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 let him fall, pop, 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 and it's a lot more than the adjustable, where it's more, let's cover as much distance along that bank as we can. That's a great question. So yeah, definitely keeping it moving and keeping it alive in action.
one thing I was wondering when you're discussing this, though, the leader and the type of line that you use, like when we were out fishing, you wanted to keep something very light and not so obvious, so to scare the fish away. What are your thoughts on that when you're fishing for these
Uh,
fish?
all right. So I was a big fan of Seagar. I mean, I bought so many of these, and I've been turning away from it a little bit and just going to mono. Fluorocarbon's great. Our water is a little bit darker, not a little bit, a lot darker than a lot of areas. It's not crystal clear, and I just don't believe the visibility factor is as prominent here. So I can get away with that fluorocarbon or that mono. The only difference I'm finding is that mono is a little thicker. You know, you're going to have for 20-pound mono and 20-pound fluorocarbon, the mono is going to be a thicker diameter. But man, I tell you what, I think it's just as strong, just as abrasion resistant, and you get tons more mono for the same price as you do that fluorocarbon. So I do like fluorocarbon and I use it, but I've been turning more and more towards a mono, and I go a little lighter. So where I would use a 20-pound fluorocarbon, I'll go to a 15-pound mono, and I feel like I'm getting the same results on that. Not so much having to worry about the visibility of it in our area because our water is so brackish. So that's a great question.
And you mentioned the season. Now, where we are, it's been unseasonably warm. I mean, we've gotten close to 70. And I was wondering, we discussed in the last show how the temperature differentials are impacting what kind of bites you get, what kind of size fish you get. How does that play out where you are? Is it the same at all, or do you pretty much have a consistent season? Are you impacted by what's going on lately with the temperature?
No, I think it's all up and down the coast. I believe, just like your last guest said, that the fish are going to move up quicker. They're going to come from Florida. They're going to move up as that water temperature drops, gets not drops, but gets warmer. They're going to move up. I think that the fish are moving a lot further. So, on a cold 4 or 5 day stretch, they're going to be deeper, but then they're moving out to those deeper holes in bigger water a lot more. So I think it just impacts how many days in a row that you're going to get a cold snap or it's colder water, and then how many days it's warm. It's for us, it's about either being deep in a creek or at the mouth of the creek, but they're still in those deep holes for another, I would say, month before the big fish start to run out, and then we start getting a lot more schoolies that are in the smaller slot range as it gets into October, August, all those months. The fish get a little smaller, but there's more of them. It seems like the hatch comes out, and August is amazing again. So there's a little transition period there that we just changed the species. We're going to go back for those bull reds. We're going to go offshore, and start on those cobia and those mackerel and those kingfish. As soon as that water warms up, it changes the game.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to get down there when that happens. Please forgive me if I mess up your name. Sheenan Holtz. I primarily land base fish. Do you mean base fish? Base fish. What's the best advice you can give for finding fish in a smaller boat? I was thinking this too, in the creeks and the rivers.
Well, I tell you what the explosion is kayak fishing. That's as small of a boat as you can get. My advice is to use your Google Maps. I mean, I'm on Google Maps all the time. I'm looking, and I've seen it all. I've seen every inch of our area, but I'm still on there. You're going to be looking for boat ramps or waterways that are places you can launch your small boat, and looking for structure. I've said in the past that my favorite things to do is to go on a negative tide and just look and see where that structure is. I would suggest that you find your place that you can put in, that you can find those small creeks and get to them in a fashionable time. Travel them during low tide and search out the structure. We know that the fish are going to be where the structure is. So That's my number one advice would be to use that Google Maps, find where you can go. And once you get there, work that low tide until you know the area, and you'll end up producing.
For sure. I can relate to that question. When I was fishing Smith Mountain Lake, I started off on a kayak. I didn't have a depth finder, fish finder, nothing. So, using structure, changing out my lures a lot, just hoping for the best and trying everything. I kind of gave in though after a couple of days because my kayak weighs 130 pounds, and I got a charter. So, aside from, releasing the outcome, enjoying the journey, willing to try anything, but definitely connect with a great charter captain like Captain Massa, who can not only get you on great fish, but he'll teach you so many things. And I definitely recommend watching his videos on TikTok, Facebook, and I think you're on Instagram. Am I correct?
Yeah, I got a little Instagram presence. I connect straight to my Facebook, so you're gonna get a little double feed. Hey, I would like to mention one other thing about that, because I thought that was a great question.
Yes, it was great.
What I've always been amazed at is that when I'm in a boat, I'm casting towards the land. And when I'm on shore, I'm casting out towards the middle. So I've always told anybody that is going to do some wade fishing, or what I like to do is I'm going to fan cast from that bank out. And then I'm going to go about, 45, 50 degrees. And then I'm going to move up. And I'm just going to keep fan casting that bank, but not all the way out. So I would concentrate on anywhere between 10, 15, 20, maybe 40 feet from the bank in a fan cast. And you're going to cover that whole area. I'm going to cover 5 feet from the bank, 10 feet, 15, 20, 30, and I'm going to work it in. I just seen that's produced for me, because I love to wade fish, and I'll get up into a creek that I know has hard bottom and my boat can't go any further. I've stepped up to that 23 Parker and have to realize I can't go into the places I used to, but I can walk up into a lot of them. And working that bank and fan casting from the bank out consistently, it makes a big difference.
For sure. Great question. Great answer. So it is time for you to choose who wins the prize tonight, Captain Massa.
Well, I'm going to give it to the young lady who asked about the small boat, because I think there's so many opportunities to fish from the small boats and get out there and enjoy that coastal beauty on your own, and not have to have all the expensive gear and all the boat maintenance, all that stuff, but still get out there. I love that.
Sure. Well, congratulations. Make sure that you send us your shipping information to admin@thefishingchannel.net. Please do so. We don't want to have you miss out on this great prize pack. And again, it is old school paddle tail, 3.5 fatty. So this is going to be a good one. And also Captain Massa is it two? You have two?
I'll send both of them to you. And again, I hope you'll check out Crooked Eye. They're worth it. And they're not sponsoring me, but I'm sponsoring them, because I love their product and I want to share.
Right on. That speaks volumes to what you think about this company. Well, thank you so much, Captain Massa. Before we sign off, you have your phone number in your title there, but how else can someone get a hold of you if they don't want to use a phone and actually talk?
Well, give me a call, obviously, but I really answer really well to a text message. I'm on Messenger. I have a great website that you can see booking availability, all my trips, and that's coastalcreekcharters.net. And just the normal conventional ways, I'm available, and I'm very responsive. I would like to say to all those product people out there, you've got somebody here that will test your product. So hit me up, send me something, I'll test it and I'll review it up for you. So don't be shy, guys.
That's a good plug. Well, thank you, Rich, for your question. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, Captain Massa. Always a wealth of information and a joy. So thank you so very much, everyone. Hope you have a great evening. And as always, fish on. Good night.
Peace.